Our theme this month is hope, and I wanted to recite a quote from an interview from Studs Terkel. I think it's realistic to have hope. One can be a perverse idealist and say the easiest thing, I despair, the world's no good. That's a perverse idealist. It's practical to hope, because the hope is for us to survive as a human species, and that's very realistic.
Good morning, beloveds. I'm so glad to be able to join you virtually, and I regret that I'm not able to be there with you in person this morning. As you might have heard, and you might be able to tell, I am under the weather this weekend and needed to stay home and not get anybody else sick. But I am delighted to bring you our opening words this morning, which are from the writer, activist, magician, poet, Adrienne Marie Brown.
The miracle is the result of more and more people dedicating themselves to the mundane daily practices of existence that align us with the planet and with our own long-term survival. The meditative practices of composting, farming, baking bread, growing mushrooms, raising chickens, preserving water, using and being midwives and doulas, building and retrofitting homes, using and riding bicycles, healing each other, creating music and art, reaching consensus, holding each other accountable, working in community. The experience of being alive grows deeper when we value and work for and with all existence. And the path that seems to most consistently yield miracles is working to increase our collective capacity to love. Miracles are possible when we let that love consume us and use us, when we give ourselves over to understanding that our very existence is a miracle. I've been thinking about what we have to practice in order to become miracle makers. There has to be a daily action. I'm pretty sure it is love in all its forms. Love is the act of miracles.
Last week, I was chatting with some community members up in Lake County where I live. One of them wished another happy holidays, and this sparked some conversation. It seems that this year, many folks want to get into the spirit of happy holidays, but happiness can be a tough order in the times we're living through. It feels subdued this year, one person said. Like I'm trying to feel festive, but I'm waiting for another bad thing to happen. I wonder, can anyone here relate to that? There is, I think, an ancient core of shared meaning to this feeling, this sense of experiencing bad times and fearing or knowing that they are going to get worse. This sense of being motionless in the dark, trying to discern a path forward. This sense of waiting for something big, whether bad or good, to arrive and herald in the next chapter of what will be. Somewhat paradoxically, the miraculous is also on my mind this holiday season. Whether it is the winter solstice, which heralds the dark of the year and the eventual return of the light, or the celebration of Hanukkah, where we remember the lamps in the temple that miraculously remained filled with oil for 8 days, even though there was only enough oil for 1 day. Or the season of Advent, which marks the beginning of the Christian liturgical year. There are many traditions that celebrate the coming of small miracles that have big effects. Our culture is broadly aware of Advent through the medium of Advent calendars, but in truth, it is a season that is about so much more than opening up 24 tiny presents in the lead up to Christmas. You see, Advent is a season of anticipation, a season where Christians consciously await the arrival of a miracle child who is promised to bring peace on earth and goodwill between all humankind. I won't go over the entire story of Christmas for you right now, but at the heart of it, for me at least, is this. A mother with an unplanned pregnancy struggles against the policies of a mighty empire, policies designed to target her and her family as members of a minority group. They are forced to migrate, and when they arrive at their destination, they can only find lodging in something like a barn, where the mother then has to give birth. And these parents welcome a miracle baby, a baby who will grow up to spread radical ideas that threaten to shake the foundations of the empire. That seems improbable, doesn't it? Especially in this day and age. A Jewish Palestinian baby born in Bethlehem who will teach us how to undo the power of an empire and remake this world in the image of love? Maybe it was far-fetched then, but it feels even farther fetched now. And yet, I think the season of Advent doesn't ask us to suspend disbelief, but rather to commit to the practice of making space for possibility. To me, the season of Advent is a reminder that people have been going through what we're going through for a long, long time, and have been telling stories about it for a long, long time. And sometimes periods of waiting can be active, enlivening, and can preface the arrival of an unexpected miracle. Many churches light candles on each Sunday of Advent to mark various themes of the season, and hope is often the first candle that is lit, followed by peace, joy, and love, and a fifth candle to mark the arrival of the Christ child, the arrival of a miracle. We have a tendency to think of miracles as flashy, big-budget affairs that are rare and hard to miss. But in reality, even fabled miracles often appear to us in the guise of the ordinary. Babies are born every day. The temple lamps keep on burning. The earth keeps on spinning. As Thich Nhat Hanh writes, people usually consider walking on water or in thin air a miracle. But I think the real miracle is not to walk on water or in thin air, but to walk on earth. Every day we are engaged in a miracle which we don't even recognize. A blue sky, white clouds, green leaves, the black, curious eyes of a child, our own two eyes. All is a miracle. This month, many people will also celebrate Hanukkah, another holiday set against a backdrop of empire, this time featuring a group of Hebrew rebels fighting against cultural domination by a Greek empire. In the process of the fighting, the rebels take control of the ancient temple, and they find that all but one day's supply of oil for the sacred lights has been profaned, and there will not be enough to keep the temple lit. And yet, miraculously, the lights burn for 8 days on 1 day of oil, enough time for new oil to be processed. There are many, many interpretations of the story of Hanukkah, but for me this year, it means that we must kindle the sacred lights we can reach while we can do so, even if we cannot understand how they will stay lit in the days to come. New oil for our lamps is on the way, and sometimes, in haste and fear, we may misjudge how deep our reserves actually run. Finally, many of us will observe the winter solstice this month. It's a time of tuning into the natural rhythms around us, remembering that even as we are marking the shortest day of the year, the days will immediately begin to grow longer after. It's a time of gathering around trees, lighting candles, and singing to each other. For me, the message of solstice is, the world is going to keep turning, as it has for billions of years. More than we can fathom has come before us, and more than we can fathom will come after us. Who do we want beside us as we share this moment in time? And what meaning will we carve from our season on this earth? What stands out to me about each of these celebrations is that there is a common thread of communally kindling light to remind us of the presence of the extraordinary and the unexpected in our everyday lives, to help us encounter the possibility of miracles, to help us remember that most miracles don't just come out of nowhere. They are something we actively help prepare the way for, that we shape with each other. I sometimes envy other religious traditions for their liturgical calendars and set liturgies, which can provide the structure to help remind us of important things. In this particular moment in time, I want to invite Unitarian Universalists to observe our own season for kindling, because now more than ever, I think we need to make space in our hearts for the possibility of miracles. Not the kind of miracle where the seas part and swallow up political leaders who threaten our collective survival, though that might be nice. Not the kind of miracle that is more myth than fact. But I think we need to remember the miracle of walking on our earth every day, of the blue sky, the white clouds, the green leaves, the miracle of a child's curiosity, of a baby's birth, the miracle of showing up for our neighbor in the moment when they most need someone to be there. We need to remember that we are the product of billions and billions of years of evolution, beings born from stardust which became earth and life, one tiny thread in the tapestry of the universe. We need to remember that the observance and cultivation of everyday miracles is what eventually enables the seas to part, the empire to fall, the beloved community to thrive. You don't need to believe in the Christ child or the still looked for Moshiach in order to believe in miracles. Right now, a child is being born who needs you to walk this earth in fierceness, in kindness, and in hope. Right now, someone you know needs a delivery of oil for their lamps. We may never know the miracles we've wrought in someone else's life, but we have to trust that by showing up for the ordinary, we are helping give birth to the extraordinary. As our reading from Adrienne Marie Brown reminded us earlier, quote, "The miracle is the result of more and more people dedicating themselves to the mundane daily practices of existence that align us with the planet and with our own long-term survival. And the path that seems to most consistently yield miracles is working to increase our collective capacity to love. Miracles are possible when we let that love consume us and use us, when we give ourselves over to understanding that our existence is a miracle. I have been thinking about what we have to practice in order to become miracle makers. There has to be a daily action. I am pretty sure it is love in all its forms, Love is the act of miracles. What miracles do you most want to kindle in your life, in your communities, in the wider world? And how can we help you stoke that fire? How can we kindle more love for each other and for our world? Let us dwell in these questions, dear ones, and let us not be shy about telling each other our conclusions. Let's try welcoming in the possibility that we are able to make profound changes through a series of tiny actions. Let's celebrate a season for kindling miracles. Amen. Selah, blessed be. Kenya hiratzon. May it be so. May we kindle miracles.